Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 13. In Module 13, we are moving on. So we've done short stories and we've done poetry. This module is devoted to some other genres of writing for those of you who are just interested, as well as publishing. So we're kind of adding some things in here toward the end of the class that a lot of students are just interested in learning more about. And so you have some options for this one, and then we also get to take a look at some publication stuff. So that will be this module. In the next module is when we'll start working on your portfolio, and you'll have two modules for that. 14 and 15 are for the portfolio. So just kind of be anticipating that. Your portfolio is going to involve a final piece that you'll write, as well as revising the two pieces that you submitted for your peer edit. So you may want to start going back into the pieces that you did for your two peer edits, the one for the short story and the one for the poem, and just taking a look at what your peers wrote, and when you get the grade for it, you know, what I wrote in the comments, and so you can start to make some revisions and suggested changes to that assignment so that you can have that ready for your portfolio. So this assignment, or this module, is covering, like I said, a couple of other genres, as well as publication, just kind of some basic information about publication, which I know all students tend to be interested in when they're taking this class. They want to, maybe in the future, think about publishing something that they've written. Some students working on novels, some students working on shorter works, that kind of thing. But this is just some basic information. We start off with literary magazines, and that is kind of where a lot of the publication advice out there is to start by just submitting smaller works to different places, because really when you want to actually sit out, you know, go out and publish a novel, it's very difficult to get into the publishing world, and a lot of it is having a bit of a name behind yourself and networking and, you know, getting to know authors and that kind of thing. And so it's very difficult. There's a lot of work behind it before you could even get, you know, a book to an editor to even look at. And so this kind of thing is what a lot of writers start with, and that is a literary magazine. So a literary magazine is just a magazine that just publishes new works. And if you can just Google literary magazines if you want to. A lot of you may not be interested in publishing, and so that's fine. You can just look and see what's out there. But you can also Google, I just Googled literary magazines for new writers, because, you know, if you're someone who hasn't published before, you don't have a name behind yourself, you're going to have a more difficult time getting something published. So this random list that I found could be a potential. And so what you're going to do is we're actually going to complete an assignment involving a literary magazine. So you have a discussion board here. The first thing you're going to do is review what literary magazines are. Then you're going to find a literary magazine, preferably one that somebody else has not posted, so that we have a variety of magazines that are put there and out there as a potential. I recommend looking for one that is related to what you like to write. So there's a lot of literary magazines out there that are specific to a genre. So they only publish horror stories, or they only publish romance, or something like that. So if it's in kind of the area that you're interested in, that is what I recommend you do. However, you can pick whatever you want to. So like I've just picked this random literary magazine, and so I'm going to copy and paste the web page for it, and then just that's how I'm going to start my my post, and make sure that my peers can access it and that kind of thing. So I'm going to make sure that I put that in there. I can post it just like this for right now if I want to, and that way nobody else can take my literary magazine that I've chosen. But then I want to go through and answer all of these questions. So how often is it published? How do you access it? What sort of genres do they look for? Are there any restrictions for, you know, what they want submitted? So like here, they accept submissions year round. They're always reading submissions. They accept photography, art, comics, creative nonfiction. So I can just copy some of this stuff straight from their website. Things that they want to consider, some guidelines for how to submit work, that kind of thing. And so any information that would be helpful, if there's a prize or a contest, do you have to pay money to submit, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to put it all in there and then hit reply. Once mine is up there, then I want to go to some of my peers threads, and you have some options for your response. You can either just access past submissions online, so you can look through, this has all the volume and issue numbers. You can look through and find one that you want to read and kind of see what are the works, a poem or a short story or whatever, and then look through it. And then, or you can see, what kind of publication awards has it won, that kind of thing. So you can look through that particular magazine and add to their discussion. So that's the discussion board on literary magazines. The other thing that you're going to do in this module is choose another genre to write. And we're just doing it in this one module. So just kind of keep in mind that you may want to start on this right away because it might take a little bit longer. You can do creative nonfiction, you can do drama, or you can do a graphic story. And these are all the guidelines for each of the 3 types. And then I also have for you just a page of resources for each type. So creative nonfiction is a type of short story writing that is based in your own experience. So if you had to write something like a narrative essay for Comp 1, that's kind of how we're thinking about this assignment. But instead of an essay, you're more writing like a memoir type story. So it's based in your own experience, but it is creative. We add a lot of that sensory detail. There's some really great creative nonfiction out there to use as examples. And then I've got an article for you to look at, and there's also some stuff in the textbook to help you. Graphic novels are ones that have been created kind of like a cartoon, but you're thinking typically a little bit more involved than a cartoon because there's an actual storyline that you can follow. A lot of you are probably familiar with graphic novels, but to tell one in a short story form is typically just, maybe 2 or 3 pages of panels with the cartoons in it. Obviously, you only have a week to do this, and so your graphic novel may be pretty basic as far as the illustrations are concerned, but getting it with the layout, and you can use all the digital tools to help you with layout and putting the comment bubbles in there and everything in the background. So this is just an option for those of you who prefer more the visual medium when you are telling stories, and that can be, some of you may have even started trying to create a graphic novel. If you want to do one on paper, that's completely fine. So you can draw it out if you want to. You'll just have to take like a really clear picture of it and submit the file. I would put it into like a Word document, to copy and paste that image into a Word document and then upload that. That would be the easiest way. The last option is a play. Plays take a little bit longer to write as well. And a play is kind of like a short story also. So all 3 of these have a lot in common with fiction. Is you're going to have a story that will follow an arc of different steps, different stages, just like you would in a short story. And then I've got some videos in here for how to write dialogue. So a play is almost all dialogue. So we're really focused on it. What do the characters say to each other? So there's a lot that you can include with that. Some of you may have already done some work on writing plays, so that's an option. That you may have a little bit of background experience, but I also have an article here that you can read. And basically with a play, the focus is on the tension that you can create between 2 characters and what they say to each other. So that back and forth idea. For all 3 of these, the topic itself does not matter. Whatever works, obviously for creative nonfiction, it's about yourself. But for the other 2, the topic doesn't necessarily matter. But I do want to see all that creativity that you've been learning about, everything that we have looked at so far this semester, imagery, figures of speech, all of that could come into play here. So you've got a lot to think about with this assignment, and then you'll submit it here. I don't have a grading rubric up here as yet, but I'm hoping to create one. I got to figure out how to do it so it applies to all 3 all 3 types. So that will be what the module is all about. So a little bit with publishing, and then looking at some other genres. If you have questions as you start to work on this stuff, please feel free to send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.